Good morning and welcome to Face the Nation. I'm Margaret Brennan. Friday night's strike in Syria was launched by British, French, and U.S. aircraft, ships, and a submarine. Over 100 missiles were fired at 3 sites in Syria that the U.S. identified as chemical weapons facilities. Syrian attempts to shoot them down failed, and Russian forces held their fire, avoiding the escalation that U.S. officials had feared. Defense Secretary Mattis called it a heavy strike, but a one-time shot that set the Syrians' chemical weapons program back for years. CBS News foreign correspondent Seth Doane and his team are in Damascus under the supervision of the Syrian government. Seth, what's the latest?
Good morning to you, Margaret. The advances here that the Syrian forces have made going into Doane is the big news this morning, regaining control of that area that had been held by the rebels. And that is quite significant because it likely gives chemical weapons inspectors access to that site.
Now, you did get access to one of the sites that was hit in that Allied show of force on Friday. What did you find?
We got into one of the areas that had been a research facility here in Damascus, a sort of university. We were there as it was still smoldering and firefighters were still putting out the fire. These buildings had been completely destroyed. Now, this is a site that the U.S. government, the Pentagon, says is key to the development of biological and chemical weapons here in Syria. We met a scientist who was there on the site who told us he had worked there for 38 years, and he said they were not developing chemical weapons there. It is just another example here in Syria where you are hearing very different facts or allegations from both sides of this conflict.
The Trump administration says it's not going to intervene in the civil war. Will Friday's strike have any impact on the course of the conflict?
There is a real defiance that we have seen on the ground here in Syria. What we have seen from the Syrian government is a determination to move forward and make it appear as though it is business as usual. You saw those pictures that were released right away by the Syrian presidency and the propaganda wing here showing Bashar al-Assad walking into buildings, appearing unfazed following these airstrikes.
Seth Doane, thank you for your reporting there from the bustling capital of Damascus. Very different images than what we saw in that area hit by that alleged chemical attack just nearby.